Hello fellow cultivators, welcome to the 16th and I believe it will be the last episode of the Chaos playthrough of Tale Immortal. And I know it has been a long time and this should be out quite a long time back, but during the meantime the official version was released and I was kind of want to wait for some time to see if they added more stuff into the game, which they did, but most of those new events are in early game and they are untranslated, so I will probably make separate videos about it. And also there are some things like new heavenly skills and some kind of new talent of artifact spirits, which are not much meaningful because they don't want to make too much change to the balance of this game. So here we go, the last episode. Let's talk about Tianyuan Mountain. And before we start, let's first show what are my skills and my stats when I climbed Tianyuan Mountain. Actually, this is when after finishing the Tianyuan Mountain run, but it in total takes less than 1 month in game time, so it's the same thing. Let's start from martial skill, standard sword, special skill, standard sword. It's a bleed build, and have a golden core fire motion skill. I have been using it for long, but I do have one transcendent sword transcendent skill and ultimate. This is mainly for the invincibility. You need them to survive the Tianyuan Mountain. I do have another water motion skill at enlightenment, which is sometimes quite helpful to create more phantoms. And then I also have a golden core level ultimate Firefox just to generate fairy flames. For the mind skills, I have transcendent wandering cloud move, which is not too great because I have only around 14k attack with 2 mighty strength buffs. You should aim for like 15k, that will make your life easier. Apart from that, I also have 2 other small tavern buffs to add a bit more crit resistance as well as HP. So now my vitality is about 364k, not too high, but good enough for Wandering Cloud Transcendent level Sutra. And very importantly, a transcendent level mind skill of guide, which add me shield, which are essential if you want to run Tianyuan Mountain. Then we have the technique, bad one. I want to use it for the Clinking Jade. As you can see, my defense is really low. And Clinking Jade because I want additional sword, and therefore the transcendence level of divine power. I have Northern Soul, Sword Mastery, double cooldown, and a foundation level secret manual fire one. I've been using this since ages. So that's basically everything. And what else are there? Of course, let's show the right destinies. We have Northern Land Frost, just something I get when I come to Transcendent. There's no better options there. And I have martial skills specification 3, which is not too great. It's okay-ish. Then the bird has been changed after I finished Tianyuan Mountain. Concealed Nirvana, very important. And 3 sword field, maybe not that important. Again, Jiaolong Soul, which is kind of nice. And Supernova Sword, just fancy thing, not really important. Combat Expertise Earthfire, extremely important to make the Fire Phoenix out available. Murderous Rite, very good damage boost. Same thing, martial skill specification. And finally, Blood Power, extremely important to keep me alive. I'm using still the standard Nameless Holy Seed. And about Heavenly Art, I'm using the Sword Heavenly Art as usual, but I did add a little bit MP recovery in it. And now let's enter the Tianyuan Mountain. So the first level you need against Zhou again, or more like his giant sword. So there's Zhou's flying sword level 1, 2, 3. In Chinese they are called small, middle, and big sword, Zhou sword, and this one is called Zhou's giant sword. So you can consider it Zhou's flying sword level 4. And just like many other Tianyuan battles, you need a lot of damage and you need a lot of survivability. So if you are using a half-assed build like what I'm doing now with Golden Core or Foundation skills, you will have a very hard time. Sometimes if you are even worse than skills, then you probably cannot make it in Chaos. And in my case, I have to try a lot of times. Well, luckily, Zhou's huge flying sword, I think I just finished in one go. There are some scary moments, but it's fine. So just fire out and fire motion to boost the damage. And also fire motion allows me to dodge some of his attacks. And more importantly, mostly because I'm doing so much damage, I just need to get in close and doing damage, and I just basically get my HP back. And one thing about this battle is it's kind of the easiest battle in the entire Tianyuan Mountain. If you cannot survive this you will have a hard time later as well. And as you can see, I'm using skills to generate shield to basically cancel his attacks. That's a very important point. And also, I basically using blood power to get all my HP back. And so yeah, maybe around this time, let's just talk about in general what you need for Tianyuan Mountain battles, or what my build is lacking. And in the middle, I can also start talking about here and there about some plots. But in general, the entire storyline is a bit confusing because it involves time travel, and everything involves time travel never makes sense. So I give up on explaining the plots. You can take a look by yourself, but I also cut out some, not really required quest part. If you're interested, you can get into the game and look at the stories by yourself. Let's just talk about gameplay-wise. So I would suggest you to get 15k attack at least. That will make your life easier. And also, you should make a proper build. Like, even though my build is half-assed by using low-level skills, but at least the key elements are there. I am using Fairy Flame, and I'm using the correct secret manual to boost my damage. So that's important. And if you also, another important thing, a shield guide. You really need that thing to survive. And probably some HP regen, ideally blood power one. And if you are against some later level enemies like Hengtian, then you need some invincibility. Maybe just use a wind motion skill. I'm literally suggesting that. Or if you're using water sword or fire sword like me, there is invincibility already. But yeah, you need to get a lot of survivability. Anyways, once you finish the first battle here, you can talk with Joe. He will talk about he had led 22 cultivators to the mountain, and no one came back, and himself cannot really go to the mountain. He's puzzled, but during this question you will understand why he couldn't and what happened to those 22 cultivators. But one important thing, this game has 5 different endings. So if you want to get all the endings without play 5 different playthroughs, you can make a save here after defeating the Joe's huge giant flying sword, because one of the endings requires you to make a different choice before the next battle. Therefore, make a save here. And what are you talking about? Yeah, just some crap stuff. Basically, Joe is Zhangzan himself. I'm literally spoiling to you. Finishing this quest, you will need to come to a place, and here I think this is the time when they introduce this new feng shui diagram. I mean, remember the new feng shui diagram was introduced in the same patch when they introduced Tianyuan Mountain. And yeah, for anyone who don't know how to do it, it's quite simple. You find out which one ring is the one is not associated with the others, and you leave that one ring the last. So then you can, in whatever way you do with the other rings, just try to make, all the same characters aligned. As you can see, the most inner one in this case is the one which only associated with himself. So you keep that the last, and then you easily finish this quest. After this, I think you'll need to fight some mobs, and then you will unlock some of Joe's stories. But as I already spoiled to you that basically he is just, let's say, part of Zhangzan himself. And that's why he has a quest which is lead the cultivators to Tianyuan Mountain, and himself can never get on top of the mountain. I think there are more things you can find out from those items, like letters in your inventory, so you can check it by yourself. I won't show everything here. Alright. The next one would be Night Rain, and just as I mentioned before, save before the Night Rain battle, because you can either choose to listen to her and help Hengtian, or you can choose to help Zhangzan. Even though both choices I think will lead you to a battle, but that does change the final ending. So Night Rain, she is basically Hengtian's disciple, and who is Hengtian? She will let you know very soon. Basically, you talk with her, and you can say, yeah, it doesn't matter which one you choose, as usual. Here, just normal dialogues. And she will basically tells you there are 2 most powerful cultivators in this world are having a duel on the mountain. One is Zhangzan, obviously, the developer of this game. The second one is Hengtian, who is also the master of the pavilion. So you can either ask Master or ask Johnson. Again, doesn't matter here, because I think it doesn't matter which way, she will tell you everything. Basically, this is the first introduction about the two people's different method to get into, I don't know, Transcendent or go to the upper realm, who knows. Ascension, let's call it, yeah. But you can sort of see she is on the Pavilion Master side. And yeah, and also she talked about Nether Feathers. And remember, we need Nether Feathers. And this is also a small hint that if you battle against Hengtian, he will have ability to take back the Nether Feathers. And yeah, so now it's an important choice. If you choose Pavilion Master, you will end up in a different ending, and there you get the wood outfit. But if you choose Zhangsan, which is my choice here, you can get into other different endings. So basically here I will choose Zhangsan. She will ask you again. I again choose Zhangsan, just like that. And obviously that means I need to fight against her. Oh my god, I didn't anticipate there's so much dialogue. So yeah, here is I choose Zhangsan again. And now let's fight her. And by the way, did you see that she said she had killed that other 22 cultivator? Yeah, that's where are they? So she can get into this invincible mode. You can see there's a shield around her. And she was connected to something. And you need to actually defeat those little signal-like thingy, signal post-like thingy. And this in her first phase, basically the phase right now. Every time she gets into the invincible mode, she will leave 2 those signal posts on the ground, and you just need to break them. In the second phase there will be much more, and it will be much harder to break those. And if you do not break those things in time, those will provide her some buffs. Some of them will be a shield, which means if you do not have enough DPS, you can never defeat her because she will keep on getting the invincible and add more shield herself. But yeah, as you can see, 14k attack plus some fire, very flames, it is enough to deal with the first phase fairly easily. And so those little posts, even though they look like those Tao's little sword, but unlike that, which you just need to use your martial skills to hit it a number of times, this one does have much more HP, and you need to have a lot of damage, not attack time. And yeah, once you defeat her first phase, she will enter the second phase, where she can literally change the entire environment like this. And of course, during the transformation, she is invincible. And then you can try to deal some damage to her, and here it comes again. Initially, it's quite simple. There are simply like 2 posts, and this one is actually shield, if you can read Chinese character. So I tried to break this one first. And yeah, she can also have quite a lot of skills. Like, for example, this green thing on the ground is obviously it's poison mist. If you step on it, you will get some kind of damage. And yeah, there's this green laser thing. And also, she can also use one of the like green bullet type of, self-tracking skills. That is the one you can use if you gain her outfit, so wood outfit. Basically, it is the ending you gain if you chose to support the master in here, and then still manage to defeat the master in the end. And in that way, you will gain her ending. And look at this, that one. That's the skill that she will deal damage to you, and you can learn. That's the one which will replace the thorn special skill in wood. Anyways, there's nothing much to talk about here, it's standard fire sword stuff. You use your fire motion and your shadowless sword to trigger bleed and reduce your motion skill cooldown, and with, generous standard fire sword stuff. And the good thing is, because you have so low cooldown with fire sword or anything with sword, you will generate a lot of shield to yourself every time you use a skill that will make you much tankier, or say much less easy to die. And something about Nitrian, as I mentioned before, when she frequently enters this invincible mode where you can only deal damage to those little bit signals, and you need to actually hope she stays in this not invincible mode for long enough so you can do more damage to her. So you kind of want some kind of damage boost, like just now. A nice timed sword heavenly skill deals a lot of damage, and just when she is about to die, she enters this invincible mode again, and I again have to deal with those little posts. And yeah, and I didn't manage to break that shield one in time, so she again had shield. I think that's because I saw that she has very less HP, so I didn't pay much attention. Just thinking, let me break any post. Turns out that's not great. For example, there are some Chinese characters on top of her, and one of them will bring her shield again. And now I realize, okay, I need to break this shield post. And also, there are 3 posts at the same place, so it's much easier to break them all at once. And once you defeat those, she is much more vulnerable, and it's very easy to kill her just with one single, or maybe 2 or 3 rounds of skills. So yeah, Nitrian, she is done, and you finish the second battle. And after this battle, you will get some kind of item and a little bit of plot about her relation with Master. Basically, yeah, she's just a blind follower of the Master of the Pavilion, aka Hengtian, aka the final villain of this game. Again, I did not anticipate so much dialogue, and I do not really like this part of plot that much, because there's no hint of this woman's existence at all in any time of early game. She just randomly appears in the end game, and does the developer really expect us to have some kind of emotional connection with her when the only existence of her is just to come here and try to kill us? Like, I don't care if you are the follower of the Master, or if you have very moving love story with him. I mean, I don't know you, you came here and try to kill me, that's it. I don't know. That's why I will not show too much about whatever about this part plot as well. You can take a look at the thing yourself. Again, it will have a lot of dialogues. Okay, the next one, but before that, you need to talk with Joe, and don't forget to talk with Joe all the time. I mean, I think it's actually quite important if you want to get the ending. So, but basically talking with Joe before you enter the mountain each time. So now the next one will be a familiar person, actually. So someone we know, someone we have met before, and she is Feng Lixi. Except she is not a small young girl anymore, but now a big grown-up woman. And here, I want to say something. If you have watched, I don't remember which episode, but around when I was in Origin Spirit, when I first entered Origin and triggered the Feng Lixi quest, I have already said, this girl must be Nuwa in the Chinese mythology, and I was right. And here we go, and she comes again, says something about Zhang plan, and start talking about things 10,000 years back. I don't know. I mean, time travel stuff. I do not understand. I only know that we need to fight her again for whatever reason. Well, in her reason, she is just trying to help us. I don't know why in that way we still need to fight her. But anyways, Feng Lixi, this battle, it can be quite simple if you can refresh a lot of skill, so that basically allows you to generate a lot of shield, because it will be very, very hard to try to dodge her skills. You can see that she does a lot of AoE type of skills, and if you have shield like me, right now I'm blocking most of her skills. So her type of skill is more like she is doing a giant area damage, but the frequency is not so high. So if you can, during that time, either use a shield to cancel the damage, or you can, take the damage and do not die, and then when she appears, you do some attack and try to steal all the life HP back. That's the way to deal with it. I mean, otherwise it will be really hard. I think she can use some other type of AoE. One of them is this one. By the way, this is her skill that you will gain and replace this with the quicksand skill if you are using an earth cultivator, and if you have triggered her Feng Lixi's ending and using the special trait you get from unlocking that ending. And yeah, that one, I wouldn't even say that's a very good skill, because quicksand is not one of the best skills of earth build. It's similar to the Nitrian one. The one she's replacing is not a great skill of wood build, but on the other hand, that skill Nitrian gave you is actually quite interesting. unlike this one, this whatever stand is not that useful. But again, as you can see, I am just simply using a standard fire sword, and I am finishing this battle. But actually, here I want to talk about is, this is actually a misunderstanding that fire sword. I mean, if you're looking at fire sword build from this video, because I'm using a golden core level of fire motion. So my fire motion is mainly just generate fairy flame to boost my sword damage. In a proper fire sword build, a lot of your damage, at least half or more than half your damage, coming from the fire motion itself if you are using a transcendent fire motion, alright? And I just do not want to waste more time to learn a transcendent fire motion and upgrade it and comprehend, etc. I want to finish everything within 25 years, and that's why I'm coming to the Tianyuan Mountain with this half-assed fire sword build. So if you are using a proper fire sword build with transcendent fire motion, you will probably finish this battle much shorter. Probably 1/3 of time you can finish this battle. She is not that hard to deal with if you are build a proper build. And once you finish this battle, you can get out again. I believe then you can enter some small quests with little. So yeah, again we need to do some other quest rather than within the mountain. So here you will meet Feng Lixi, who is looking for her little daughter. I don't know what's the timeline because we seem to back 10,000 years back, because right now Feng Lixi is still a little girl. So whatever is going on, I do not know. As you can see, she's a little girl. And here you need to fight one of the weird monster called Yuershen. And weirdly enough, I think this is the only time this monster appears in the plot. Every single other chill big monsters will appear in the plot line, in the quest line, apart from this one. This one you can see it in the tower as well as in the monster's wave, but you do not see it in the plot, but now you finally see it in the quest. And as you can see, the first one is very, very simple compared to any of the Tianyuan Mountain battles. Even though one thing is he can stun you, second thing is he will leave this giant poison thing which will do continuous damage to you, so be careful with him. But yeah, the first battle at least, quite simple. I think after you defeat him again, you will meet with Feng Lixi, and as well as, one of the most beautiful women in this entire game, which is Feng Pingmo, and she will appear very soon. Here, as you can see, there are actually a lot of these kind of quests will leave some icons around it. Don't forget to click them if you want to know more stories about it. So here you see Feng Pingmo and Feng Lixi's interactions. And one thing is, before you come to the next battle, you should save again and back up your save, just like when you're before the Night Rain battle. This is because then if you die in the next battle, you will unlock another ending, so make a save here. And here we go. The next battle is against the dragon. This dragon we have seen from the beginning of the game, as well as I think we see it around when we come through Transcendent as well, and you see it in multiple different occasions in the when you enter the game, in the wallpaper. And we have been wondering what is this dragon and who is him, what is his relation for a long time. And here it is actually a pretty epic battle. Look at the background. It's a stone dragon. And then once you start playing the music, the 13th verse, the stone dragon starts to move. And it's quite epic. So it will appear and we can finally fight this dragon. I mean, a lot of people probably want this dragon as the final boss. Well, unfortunately it is not, but it is still special. So if you die to this dragon, you will unlock the Feng Lixi ending, which grants you the Earth special trait and special Feng Lixi's outfit. So yeah, the dragon will first emit a giant flame, and be careful with that. That flame will one-shot you. This is it. And you see that I tried to use my fire motion to escape it, and I am almost still dead. And after this flame, you should come to the right side of the screen, because it will use this another skill, kind of wind blade. But after this, you can just stay on the right part of the screen and just do damage to the dragon. To be honest, it's very easy to die immediately, from the fire breeze. But once you dodge that fire breeze, it will be much easier. And provided you have some kind of life regen like me, the blood power. As you can see, I'm already getting most of my life back. And here I'm just using the Sword Heavenly skill with some Fairy Flame amplification, and immediately the dragon's HP is down to half. And as you can see now, there are 2 dragons, that only because my Sword Heavenly skill have, take out his soul. As you can see, this move will not hurt you if you stay on the most right side of the screen. You only thing that will hurt you in this location is his Fire Breeze. Just be careful of that. Yeah, this can actually deal a lot of damage to you. Just save your motion skill or whatever things. If you're using a wind motion skill, save it around this time. Because it's multiple stacks of attack, so even you have 1 shield, or if you have consumed Nirvana, like me, it can still kill you in one go if you do not dodge it. Anyways, so this battle later on is just like that, and yeah, we'll finish it very soon. After you finish the battle, you will have, again, some kind of side quest which will allow you to learn something about dragon. So apparently this black dragon is actually from the upper realm, and it made a nice friendship with Zhang San. And in the later part of the plot, when you get out of here and start getting into some side quests or read some item descriptions, you will also find out Zhang San and Hengtian have their conflicts. And as usual, I won't show everything, but yeah, if you're interested in the thing, just take a look. And I didn't mention here, so when you're doing this side quest to find out whatever the 13th verse or whatever backstory of the dragon, so here you can enter something, right? And actually, so you will have a choice here, basically, to either enter the place or leave. Actually, once you enter the thing, you will read some story, right? But then you come back, if you choose to leave, it will actually reveal another location, and if you enter there, you will see more stories. So if you are interested in the story, don't forget that. And here, you will continue this quest and you need to fight this same Yuashan beast again. And I will skip this battle. It's a little bit more difficult compared to the previous one, but it's still the same kind of monster and the same story. And after this, you just have some dialogue with Feng Lixi, and finally you will come to one of the final battles. Again, save this before you actually do the battle, because depends here, if you choose to help Hengtian, you will reach a different ending, but you need to fight Zhang San, and you will get Hengtian's ending, but it grants you a fire outfit. And if you choose to fight Zhang San like I did, you will, depends on if you fail or if you success, you will release another 2 endings, either the blade one or the sword one. And yeah, there's another small quest, I believe, where you can see some backstory about Feng Lixi, how she becomes a hunting fairy, etc. I mean, again, take a look if you are interested. Finally, to the main battle of the Tianyuan Mountain. As I mentioned, save this before the battle. And here you will meet the final boss. Not really the final boss, because the final boss is final battle. If you choose what I did, it will be different, but it's the same boss, so let's just call him the final boss. The Pavilion Master, Hengtian, whatever you call it, the one who have helped us by giving us manuals in the pavilion, and selling us manuals. We did buy it, we didn't ask for it. And yeah, it's also his method to give us the Nether Feather. So here you can talk with him. Doesn't matter here what you choose, as usual. But it does matter is here who do you ally with. I choose disagree. Basically, I'm allied with Zhang San, and I need to fight him. The fight against him very difficult. If you are not using the correct one, it will be very difficult. So this is one of his easy skills. You can now this one is a little, let's call it a small laser. This small laser, the further away you keep away from it, the less damage you will gain from it, and also you will much be easier to dodge. So when he's shooting small laser, you can get a bit far away, or like me using something, and then he will use this basically flowers, but this is time for you to deal damage to it. For example, right now I'm a little bit too late, and if you trigger those little flowers, you will get a lot of damage as well. So after he does the flower, it is time for you to deal damage to him to break his shield. As you can see, there's this blue shield thing around him. You need to break this shield because otherwise he will again put shield on himself and you can never defeat him. Once you break the shield, keep away from it right now. Like I broke the shield, I can see I do some damage to it. Now he will, because this is time when he shoots out these big lasers. It's actually a good thing he shoots out these big lasers because when he shoots big lasers, he will lose HP. As you can see, he loses more HP than whatever I have dealt damage to it. Now this is small laser again, which is not a big deal, and he doesn't lose HP when he shoots out small laser. Remember that? And actually this is the time when he puts on, as you can see, there are a lot of those flowers on the ground, and that's probably because I'm using water motion skill and left a lot of phantoms over there. And that's why he's putting those things there. Otherwise, he should put those flowers around you. And since if you are actually, away from him, you should just walk around to keep those flowers away from him. And once he finishes doing flowers, you just come close to him, do a lot of damage, try to break his shield, because he will again put on shield on him once he finishes the flower move. Now I break the shield, I can leave again, because I know she will shoot out big laser again. And if you're at very bottom of this scenery, you could easily, not super easily, but relatively easily dodge all those lasers. And around this time, when he's loose to around 180 something, starting from 180, how many numbers or digits are there? He will enter this mode, he will take away all your nether feather as well as your heavenly skill, which not great. And also he loses his HP bar, so basically he literally becomes invincible. This is the time you are supposed to die, okay, because Joe at now will come and help you. Now notice that if you choose to help Night Rain on the second floor, this will not happen, so he will never become invincible. Invincible here means his HP bar will vanish, okay? If his HP bar is still there, it's just you do not do damage to him, that just means he has a shield. That's not invincible, because in that phase you are not supposed to die. Like if you help Night Rain in the second floor and choose to fight Hengtian in this floor, you are not supposed to die. Remember that. Because Joe will not come to help you in that case. Anyways, after the whole thing is still the same story. He will do some attack and put on a blue shield to himself, you try to break the shield. Notice here that I am tanking these little lasers instead of moving far away, and this is because I sort of used a trick which is Sword Ultimate, which allows me to become invincible, basically not being hit by any damage for quite a long time, depending on how many sword shadows are left on the ground. And each time I use a motion skill, which I'm using a lot, which is the water motion, I leave a sword shadow on the ground. This is, the key point of water sword combined with sword ultimate. You are invincible for a long time. If you are not using water sword, don't worry, just use wind motion. Don't be ashamed of using wind motion in this battle. It is difficult. It's chaos. It's a final battle. It is difficult. Anyways, when you are not invincible and you break a shield, come back to the bottom. That's because that's the time when he shoots out those giant lasers. And this is after this you can do the damage again. And use your wind motion during this small laser time, because this time you can do a lot of damage to it, because this is actually he didn't put on the shield again. Now after he shoots the small lasers, he will put on the shield. You still need to do a lot of damage to him because you need to break the shield. But at least this is the time when he just uses delayed time bombs. If you are somewhere in the middle range, you can left all those bombs around there, and they just come back to him and do damage to him. Use whatever you have, Nether Feather, Heavenly Skill, Ultimate, whichever you think to break the shield. Because once you break the shield, now he will use the laser again, so I'm again coming back to the end. So this is basically a repeat. So if you have some kind of wind motion, or like me, some kind of sword ultimate to make yourself not get damaged, you can have a larger time window to attack. Basically when he's shooting small lasers, that's the time you can attack him. But if you do not have that, try to dodge when he's using small lasers instead of doing damage, like right now. Right now I am doing damage because I can, but if you do not have an invincible mode, do not do damage around this time. Just let him do it and wait till this delayed time bomb thing finish. And now you can do damage to him because this is time he's not using any skill. He's just sitting there waiting for you to break the shield. And you need to break shield within this time window because otherwise he will put on shield again and you can never defeat him. Now I broke the shield, it's time to come back to the back again. Because once you break the shield, there are a few seconds time for you to come back. So this is how it's designed to be. That few second time, you break shield, you see that you can do damage to him, you come back to back. And you start dodging those big lasers. And once he's done, he's almost at 1/4 his, HP, and I am coming back using another round. I think I sort of messed up here because you see that I'm right now doing damage to him because he's in the small laser mode. He haven't put on shield yet. And somehow I thought I have already finished, my breaking shield phase. And I was thinking, okay, does that mean that I should come back and try to dodge for the big lasers? So I thought about it sometime, and I'm thinking that looking at it, and he's still not putting on his shield, and I do not know why. And he's shooting out a second round of laser, and I thought it's a big laser. So I come back to the bottom part, and I realized, wait a minute, that's not a big laser. And he's putting on his shield again, and you can see below his HP bar is a little bit shield bar, and you can also see this blue shield on him. I was like, okay, I got tricked. So I come back to this thing and again try to attack his shield to break the shield using a heavenly art and using my nether feather. That's what Zhangzang give you, a giant ass laser beam. Not as good as his laser beam, to be honest. I prefer his laser beam. Now finally I actually broke the shield. I actually broke shield, and this is the final round of the laser beam because he already have less than 1/5 of his HP. This round of laser beam will be extremely long. And just by dodging it will be hard. I tried my best to dodge this giant laser beam, but eventually you will have to use something, maybe a wind motion, because the final round of laser beam will be very long because he will end up with only 1 HP and I have to use my ult here, but it doesn't matter. Once this laser beam finished, 1 HP of him will be finished. And you have defeated one of the most difficult boss in this game. And I can tell you I have tried many times with my half-assed fire sword build or fire/water sword build. If you find yourself impossible to defeat him, try to spend some time, get better manuals, get higher attack, make your build better, min-max a bit, and then try to defeat him. It is difficult, especially in chaos. And don't be ashamed to use a wind motion. It is what it is. And now there's one last thing to do. And by the way, if you die to Hengtian in this battle, you will trigger another ending, which is the Li Si ending, basically give you a blade outfit, okay? And then you try to enter the last battle, but you can't because you need to get a talisman. Again, a small quest when they introduced talisman in the final Tianyuan patch. So now you need to defeat Tao Tie. And funny enough, in my game there are 2 Tao Ties. One is the world boss, and just in case if they know that if you have already defeated world boss, they will actually generate another Tao Tie for you. Doesn't matter which one you defeat, it's the same thing. And Tao Tie is much easier compared to any of Tianyuan boss. You can basically rush it, and if you cannot rush it, it's very unlikely you defeat Hengtian, to be honest. But if you cannot rush it, it can use its skill to have damage reflection. It can be a bit annoying, but yeah. And back to about different endings. If you manage to help Night Rain and defeat Hengtian, you actually didn't really defeat Hengtian because the real Hengtian is still on the bottom of the mountain. Therefore, you end up with Night Rain's ending. And if you in the top of the mountain choose to help Hengtian defeat Zhangsan, you will unlock Hengtian's ending, which gives you the fire outfit. And that one is actually replaced with your ground fire to a very nice, basically Hengtian's signal skill, the fire thing. And if you die to Hengtian, you get the blade outfit, basically replace your sever skill to a so-called sword boost blade skill. It's a bit weird, but that's how it is. And yeah, here you need to actually draw a Phoenix Talisman. As I said, they try to incorporate new game update into the plot. And it should be very easy. I mean, I'm very bad at drawing any talisman, but this one is one of the most easy one that you can see. Other talismans, most of them are much more difficult. And I think, yeah, they have already fixed the bug that in English version you cannot see any talisman, so it's good enough. So after finish talisman, now we can actually get down and fight Hengtian again. And finally, we will have our really final battle in this playthrough. Basically, we are going to fight Hengtian again, but this Hengtian I think is 10,000 years ago because he looks much younger. And this battle, just like Night Realm battle, again have two phases, but the boss skills are more or less similar in the two phases. And yeah, the most important thing, keep your motion skill ready, because Hengtian's, especially his fire, can one-shot you, and his eyes can control you and then one-shot you. So dodge those two. That this one, the fire, dodge it, and do not step into that fire. And if you have graphics set to low, you sometimes don't see the fire. It's very dangerous. And now I'm just waiting for his skills. I think he sort of got his AI get a little bit bugged out because I'm using fire motion. But then again the fire skill. Good thing is I'm using my heavenly skill, and when you are using heavenly skill, I think there is this iframe thing that you are kind of invincible. So I didn't die immediately. And it makes sense because you cannot move that fast when you're using heavenly skill. But yeah, with the fire sword, Hengtian is done fairly fast. And then he will start to combine with Nether Lord and decide to release the Nether Lord into this world. I mean, just villain stuff, which in my opinion doesn't really make much sense. But anyways, Jonathan here tells you very important, which is not translated, that at certain phase of the second phase, when the small little blue balls appear, you are supposed to collect the blue balls, and then Jonathan will generate a protection thing for you, and you need to hide inside that protection. In this battle, because I have killed him fast enough, he's never entered that phase. But if in your battles he entered that phase, he used some skill, when the ground start to have little blue balls, not these two big ones, but small ones, you need to try to collect those small blue balls. And again, whatever showing here is not a small blue ball. It is my Northland Frost. I know it can confusing. And this ice, dodge this ice. I don't know how many times I have been frozen this ice and then died to his other skills. Dodge his ice, dodge his fire. This wind can be a little bit deadly, but it's not that a big deal. I mean, I can even take my HP back just by lifesteal, as you can see. Sometimes the Nether Demon stuck in like random place in the map, and it's very hard to deal damage to him, and you can always use sword heavenly skill or some kind of area damage. Actually, for example, if you have a lightning mode, using area damage is much easier to deal with him. And again, sword heavenly skill separate him into two different places, and I can do damage to them. And this is actually usually the time he starts jumping to the middle and using that special skill that you need to hide, collect the balls and hide inside the protection thing. But again, in this case, I think because I'm using fire motion skill and I am using the sword ultimate, so I am in the invincible mode. So maybe the AI decided there's no point in using that skill because I am anyways invincible. So as you know, using any kind of sword skills with a lot of motion skills with a lot long invincible time does help with the final battle slot. And I realized I haven't used my rule field at all, so I decided to turn on my rule field, try to deal more damage to him, and very soon the battle should be finished. Yes. Finally, we finish the game, because this is the final boss. And finish this ending, you will gain the sword outfit and a good ending. So let's just look at the final animation. Okay, do not ask me what that giant fist or whatever giant hand is, because I have no idea what is it. Maybe something for Tale of Immortal 2, but I do not know. But anyway, once you finish the game, it will display actually your journey within this game for 25 years from achieve running to Transcendent and finish the game. I actually only managed to enter Transcendent on the October or November of year 25, and we finished the game in 2 months after the whole thing. So yeah, this is basically everything about this Chaos playthrough. I don't think I will make another one, even though I could choose to for example, rogue cultivator or something like non-seculator one, but most of the game part is still the same. Even though they do add some new events, but they are untranslated. I might make some separated video for those ones. And yeah, as usual, thank you for watching. Thank you for going through this long playthrough. And please leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.